It's strange how life teaches us the most important lessons not through thunderous events, but through the smallest, quietest habits. Habits we repeat without thinking, every morning, every day, until they quietly shape our health, our energy, and our future, especially after the age of 60. Those first few hours after waking become more than just a routine. They become a mirror reflecting how much we truly care for this body we live in. And yet, far too often, that mirror reveals patterns we never meant to create, patterns that slowly, silently erode our strength, clarity, and time. You may think your morning is harmless. You rise, move about, and continue with what feels familiar. But what if I told you that some of the things you do or don't do in those first moments of the day may be quietly shortening your life? That without drama or pain, without any loud warnings, you might be sending signals to your body that weaken it over time? This isn't meant to frighten you. It's an invitation to see clearly, to choose again, because sometimes awareness is the first step toward restoring the vitality we thought we had lost. If what you're about to hear feels like something others in your life should know too, I encourage you to share this message. So many people, especially those we care about, are quietly battling fatigue, fogginess, or imbalance without ever realizing that their morning routine may be playing a role. You could be the one who gently opens their eyes. There are 4 morning habits that many older adults fall into, often without realizing the damage being done. They don't feel dangerous. In fact, they often feel comfortable, even normal. But comfort isn't always a sign of safety. Sometimes it's just the absence of awareness. And once you see these habits for what they are, you may never approach your mornings the same way again. The first is the habit of waking up and skipping water. After a full night's rest, which, for most people, means 6 to 9 hours without a single sip, your body wakes in a state of mild dehydration. It doesn't always feel like thirst. Sometimes it just feels like fatigue, like stiffness in the joints, like a fog in the mind. And so, many seniors reach for coffee first thing, adding a diuretic on top of an already dehydrated system, and move on as though nothing is wrong. But something is wrong, because the brain, made up of nearly 75% water, begins the day under strain. Balance suffers, memory dulls, reaction time slows. And the worst part is, we often chalk it up to age, when it's really just a silent lack of hydration. Drinking a full glass of water upon waking isn't just a health tip, it's a message to your body that says, I see you, I respect you, I want you to function well today. It's one of the simplest, kindest acts you can do for yourself each morning. And yet, it is so often forgotten. If you're still listening, if something about this speaks to you, then perhaps you're already beginning to reflect on how your own mornings unfold. That reflection is powerful. It's where change begins. Another habit that slips under the radar is skipping breakfast. It has become trendy in some circles to delay eating, to fast, to push food off until later in the day. And while that might benefit certain people under certain conditions, for older adults, it can be a dangerous gamble. After 60, your body works harder to maintain muscle, regulate blood sugar, and preserve cognitive sharpness. Waking up with no intention to nourish it is like asking a machine to run without fuel. The result? Irritability, mental fog, sudden fatigue, and later, crashes that drive us to eat processed food or snack late into the night. But this isn't just about energy. A well-constructed breakfast stabilizes hormones, preserves lean tissue, and signals to your brain that it has the support it needs to move with clarity and strength. And if you're someone who never feels hungry in the morning, know this: diminished appetite is common as we age. But that doesn't mean the need for nutrition disappears. Sometimes we must act in alignment with what we know, not just with what we feel. Because skipping breakfast, day after day, sends a subtle but consistent message to your body, you're on your own. I want to pause here and gently ask, are you seeing a little bit of yourself in this so far? If so, that's not a cause for guilt, It's a doorway, a new way to approach something you've done 1,000 times before, now with intention, with care. If you're still watching, it means you're someone who values that kind of shift, someone who understands that small choices often hold the greatest power. And the next morning habit we must speak about is perhaps the most deceptive of all, the habit of beginning the day in passive stillness, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that becomes default. You wake, sit at the edge of the bed, shuffle to a chair, and ease into stillness as if you're gently bowing out of the day before it begins. The body, wise and watchful, interprets this as a signal. Not much will be needed today, and so it responds in kind. Circulation slows, joints stiffen, muscles go unused, and before long, that stillness becomes not a moment of calm, but a pattern of decline. You don't need to train like an athlete to shift this. Just a few minutes of gentle movement each morning, a stretch, a walk around the house, a few arm circles, or simply reaching toward the sky can wake the entire system. Blood flows. Balance sharpens. Posture realigns. You feel more like yourself again, not just in your mind, but in your body. And from that place, your day carries a different momentum. And perhaps the most overlooked but deadly morning habit is allowing mental noise to flood your mind before you even truly awaken. It's so easy, almost automatic. You open your eyes and reach for the news, for social media, for emails, for anything that drags your mind outward before it has even settled into itself. You let the chaos of the world pour into you, the fears, the distractions, the anger of strangers thousands of miles away, before you've even taken your first deep breath of the day. And in doing so, you send another message to your body and mind. Today will be about reaction, not creation, about stress, not clarity. What many people don't realize is that the brain, especially in the moments after waking, is incredibly sensitive. It is shifting from deep restorative states into full consciousness. It is malleable, open, searching for direction. And what you feed it in those fragile first moments sets the emotional tone for the entire day. When the first thing your mind consumes is fear, outrage, or meaningless distraction, it triggers a subtle but powerful cascade. Elevated stress hormones, shallow breathing, a tightened chest, a restless, unfocused mind, not in a dramatic way you can easily notice, but like a slow, steady drip filling a bucket. It accumulates. Over weeks, months, years, it becomes your default setting, an invisible layer of anxiety that colors everything. For seniors, this is even more dangerous. As life naturally becomes quieter, with less external stimulation from work, raising children, or social obligations, the mind, left untrained, can drift into worry and mental stagnation. And once that pattern sets in, it accelerates cognitive decline, emotional isolation, and physical frailty. But it doesn't have to be that way. Imagine, instead, choosing to begin your morning with intention, before reaching for any device, before letting the outside world crash in. You sit for a few minutes with your own breath, your own thoughts. You whisper gratitude for one small thing, the light streaming through the window, the warmth of your blanket, the simple fact of another sunrise. You remind yourself that you are the leader of your mind, not its servant. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Even 5 minutes of conscious stillness, reflection, or prayer can anchor your mind in clarity and strength before the demands of the day begin. And those few minutes, repeated day after day, build resilience. They build emotional muscle. They build the kind of quiet joy and inner steadiness that no amount of outside noise can steal. If you're still with me, still feeling the pull to protect your mornings, know this: you have far more power than you realize. Small shifts create new currents create new lives. And that's the beauty of it all. You don't need to overhaul your entire routine or become someone else overnight. You need only to choose in 100 small ways to honor your body, your mind, and your spirit a little more each morning. Drink the water your body so desperately needs. Nourish yourself before you ask the day for energy. Move in ways that remind you that you are alive, still strong, still capable. Guard your mind like the sacred garden it is. And in doing so, you change the trajectory of your days, not with fanfare, not with sudden dramatic transformation, but with the same quiet persistence that once built the habits that no longer serve you, now redirected to build the habits that will carry you into the future with grace, with vitality, with a renewed sense of purpose. Before we part, I want to leave you with this. Every morning you wake up is a new invitation, an invitation to love yourself a little better, to care for this precious body a little more wisely, to shape your future not by accident, but by conscious, compassionate choice. If you found value in this journey, if you felt the quiet truth of it settle somewhere deep inside you, please share it. Share it with someone who might need a gentle reminder that it's not too late, that small changes still matter, that life, even now, is waiting to be embraced. Thank you for walking this path with me today. Here's to the mornings ahead and the beautiful life they can still create.